Okay, this is going to be a long video, but you can just, fast forward. I won't put any bonus words on this one, or maybe I will. I don't know. So, find the distance between -8, -9, and 8. You should be at -9 and 8 is 9 over, 8 down, so somewhere around here. And -7 and 8, -7 and 8, -8. So here are my 2 points. I'll call this A and B. I'm going to use absolute value. So we know that the 8, this 8 and this 8 in common, so they're both on a -8 level, but one's to the left of -8, the other one's to the right, so I want to find this distance, and I want to find this distance, and I'm going to add those two. So absolute value of 9 is 9, absolute value of -7 is 7. I'm going to add 9 and 7, and I don't know why I'm writing crooked, but 9 and 7 is 16. So the distance here, this distance is 7, this distance is 9, so the distance between A and B is 16 units on the coordinate plane. And 16 times 2.5, I have no idea. Let's see, 32 plus 8. 32 times 2.5 equals, and that, on a map, if they were representing something, would be 40 miles. Okay? Let's see if I can do this under 1 minute each. Find the distance again between -7 and 9. So let me put those 2 points. -7 and 9. -7 and 9 is somewhere over here. 9, 4 is up, and then we'll call that C. -7, -10, -7, -10 is all the way down here. So I'll find the distance between C and D, and again, I'm going to find the absolute value. How far is C to the x-axis, and how far is D to the x-axis, and then I'm going to add this stretch plus this stretch. So what do they have in common here is the -7s, right? So I'm going to find the absolute value of their y-coordinates. Absolute value of 9 is 9. Absolute value of -10 is 10. 10 plus 9 is 19. So this is worth 9. This is worth 10. So if I add those two distances, I get 19 units on the coordinate plane. And I'm going to multiply 19 times 1/5. And if I put this over 1, 19 times 1 is 19, and 5. And I can leave that as a fraction, or I can leave it as a decimal. It's up to you. 5 goes into 19 3 times. 3 4/5 of a mile. Or if you did multiply 19 times 0.20, which is 0.2 or 0.20, the equivalent of the decimal, you get 3.8 miles. And I gotta find a way of not writing this crooked. Maybe if I do it like this. All right, so that's the answer to that. Am I still under a minute? Am I even recording? Nope. Yep, I am recording. Find the distance between -6 and 0. -6 and 0 is right here. I'll call that E. And 5 and 0, we'll call right here between 4 and 6. Okay, that's point B. Okay, what's the distance between E and B? Again, I'm going to find the absolute value. How far is point E to the y-axis, and how far is point B to the y-axis? I'm going to add these 2 parts. They're both on 0, so I'm going to take the absolute value of -6, which is 6. Absolute value of 5, which is 5, and 6 and 5. If I add these, because they're different quadrants, it's going to be 11. And 11 times a half, or half of 11, equals 5.5. 5.5 miles. Or if you wrote it as 11 over 2, 2 goes into 11 5 times, 5.5 miles. Same thing, and I'm still writing crooked. Okay, so let's move on. Plot the following. Okay, 9, -7, 9 is over here, 9 to the right, -7 down, so here's point X, point Y is -5, and 5 up, so over here. And let's call that Y. Let's trace this, and I'm going to try to trace this as best as I can on the pad. Oops. Okay, so let's try again. So it's a straight line. That's a little better than the straight line here. So this is our point Q, or call it whatever you want, and our point Q here is going to be 9 over, and how much up? And 5 over. Point Q is 9 and 5. So I want to find the distance between y and q, and then q and x. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. Y and q. Y I already know, it's given to us. Negative 5 and 5. Q is 9 and 5. Notice that these two in common, so I want to take the absolute value of negative 5. Absolute value of 9. This is 5, and this is 9, this is 14. So this stretch right here, okay, this stretch right here is equal to 14. I'm going to change colors. I'll find the other stretch, and I'm going to go from Q to X. Q is 9 and 5 again. X is 9 and negative 7. So they're both 9 units to the right, but one is above 5 floors up, and the other one's 7 floors down. Absolute value of 5 is 5. Absolute value of negative 7 is 7. So 5 plus 7, different quadrants, right? It's 12. So this distance right here is 12. So from here, from Q to X is 12. So now I got to add 14 and 12, and 14 and 12 is 28. And that's the answer to that. So how far is it? It's 28. And listen that the instructions said actually show your work using absolute values, so that's what you want. 5, negative 7 this way, and negative 5 goes down, so it's somewhere right here. That's X. Y is 1 and 9, 1 to the right and 9 up, so right here between, let's call that Y. Make a straight line. No, that's not a straight line. That's a little better. And then go up. Here's my point Q, or RS, or whatever you want to call it. I just like Q. And point Q is 1 over to the right. And how many down? Negative 5. Go all the way down. So I need to measure two distances, X to Q and Q to Y. So let's do X to Q. X is negative 7, negative 5. Q is 1, negative 5. They're both on the negative fifth, so they're both on this level here, negative fifth. One is to the left of negative 5 on the y-axis, one is to the right. So this is the absolute value of negative 7, which is 7. This is the absolute value of 1, which is 1. So 7 plus 1, different quadrants, is 8. So this distance over here is 8. Now let's go Q to Y. Q is 1, negative 5 again. Y is all the way up there, 1 and 9. But they're both 1 to the right, but one is 5 floors up from the x-axis. I'm sorry, 9 floors up from the x-axis. The other one's 5 floors down from the x-axis. So absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Absolute value of 9 is 9. That gives me 14. So this distance up and down here is 14, right? So I want to find the distance between x and y, going straight lines, going west, east, and then going north. It would be 14 plus 8. And 14 plus 8 gives me 22. Plot the following, negative 3 and 8. Negative 3 is this way, and 8 up, so somewhere over here. I'll call that x, and the other one's 4, negative 7, 4, negative 7, you go down. There's y, so again, you're going to go like this, and you're going to make and go south. So are we going, what are we doing? We're going east and then south, so I'm right. And point Q over here, at that corner where you make a right turn to go south, it's going to be 4 and 8. So let's find the distance between x and q. X is negative 3 and 8. Q is 4 and 8. They share the y in common, right? So we're going to find the absolute value of negative 3 and 4. Absolute value of negative 3 is 3. Absolute value of 4 is 4, equals 4. And the distance, we add 3 plus 7 is 4. So this distance right here is 7 from x to q. Now we're going to go q to y. Q is 4 and 8. Y is 4, negative 7. So we're going to take the absolute value of 8 and negative 7. Absolute value of 8 is 8. Absolute value of negative 7 is 7. 8 plus 7 is 15, right? So this stretch right here is 15. So The distance is the combined measurements of 7 plus 15, and 7 plus 15 is 22 again. That's our distance. Plot the triangle ABC, and we want to reflect this. Oh my god, so 6 and negative 5, 6 and negative 5. Negative 5 is going to be down here. It's going to be point A. Point B is 4, negative 7, 4, negative 7, which is over here. Point C is 8 and negative 6. Negative 6 is going to be right here. And here's our little triangle. And we're going to reflect this over the x-axis. One second. So here's our little triangle. And because we're reflecting over the x and y axis, so I'm going to write this. A is my original, 6 and negative 5. B is 4, negative 7. And C is 8 and negative 6. My original, my A prime, my B prime, my C prime. Okay, so my numbers are going to be the same, remember? So, but we're going to go from the x-axis. So we're jumping this line right here, the x-axis, right, the horizontal line. So A is going to be over here. Everything is going to go from this side to this section right here. All right, so we're going to end up in quadrant 1. So in quadrant 1, all points are positive. So it's going to be 6 and 5, positive, positive, 4 and 7, positive, positive, and 8 and 6. So 6 and 5 will be 6 and 5 up. That's A prime. B prime is 4 and 7. And C prime is going to be 8 and 6. 8 and 6 is going to be right here. So let me erase that. A is going to be right here. 6 and 5, 6 over, 5 up. And C prime is going to be 8 and 6. There. Our triangle reflected over the x-axis. Okay, and it's going to look like that. So it should look a little better than that. Same triangle, but just flipped over the other side. Okay. I expect to see all this on the test. The original points and the reflected points. Make sure you call them prime. Number 8, negative 4 and 5. And again, we're reflecting this over the y-axis. So we're going to go. So let me find negative 4 and 5. So that's point E. Point F is negative 5 and 6. Negative 5 and negative 6. Point G, I should make this triangle, 3 and negative 5. 3 positive and negative 5 up. Negative 5 down. Point C, EFC. So this is a weird triangle, or 3 points right there. Actually, I'm not going to plot this triangle because it's just going to look too weird. EFC, so E, this is F, and C. So we're going to cross the y-axis, so we're going to go left to right. So point F is going to be on this side, point E is going to be on this side, and C is going to jump over from the right. I'm going to go to the left. So if I write these down, it might help me. So point C is negative 4 and 5. Point F is negative 5 and negative 6. And point C is 3 and negative 5. So point E is going from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1, and in quadrant 1 everybody's positive, so it becomes 4 and 5, so it's going to be right here. 4 and 5. It's going to be E prime. Point F is going to also be positive, positive, 5 and 6. Oops, actually, point F I did it incorrectly. Point F should have been negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. That's why my triangle looked weird. That's my point F. Point F is going to go from quadrant 3 to quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, first one is positive, second one is negative, so point F is going to be over here. It's going to be my F prime. And point C is going to go from this side to this side, and it's going to be negative 3, negative 5. So C prime, F prime, E prime. So it's going to go to this side, which is going to be negative 3 and negative 5. Should have picked something negative 3, negative 5. And that's C prime. I'm not going to connect the triangles because only it's going to make it a little messier than it already is. Okay, so those are my points. 9, we're plotting this quadrilateral, and we're reflecting over the x-axis, so I should have made this bigger. There. It's negative 6 and 5, negative 6 and positive 5, so we're going to go up here. It's between 4 and 6, so that's H. 1, 8 and 4, 8 and 4. That's point I. J, 7, negative 7, 7 over, 7 down. And K, it's negative 8 and negative 3. So it's going to be about here. That's K. So let me change color. So each of these numbers is going to cross over the x-axis, and the x-axis is horizontal. So H, so they're going to go, if you're up, you're going to go down. If you're down, you're going to go up. So let's do point by point, 6 and 5, H prime. So H is going to be in quadrant 2, it's going to go down here. And in quadrant 3, it's going to go quadrant 3, everybody's negative, so it's going to be negative 6 and negative 5. So H is going to be right here. And that's my H prime, right? Went from that side to this side, crossing over the x-axis. I, it's going to go from 8 and 4, and it's going to go to quadrant 4, and I prime, so it's up, going to cross the x-axis, and going to land right here. There's my I prime. And it's going to be 8, negative 4. J, it's down here, so we're going to cross the x-axis, it's going to end up here somewhere. So J is 7 and negative 7, and it's going to go to quadrant 1, and in quadrant 1 everybody's positive, so it's going to be 7 and 7. So J is going to go up here, 7 over and 7 up. And K, negative 8 and negative 3, where is that? K is going to be here, and it's going to go from down up, it's going to cross the x-axis, it's going to be negative 8 and 3 up. And here's K prime. So K prime is going to be negative 8 and positive 3, because he went from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2. So again, same distance away from the x-axis. So here are my coordinates, and I'm not going to connect my dots. This is a double reflection. K, negative 9 and 5, negative 9 and 5. L is negative 5 and 1, negative 5 and 1. And M is negative 2 and 7 over here. So here's my triangle. Right? I'm going to reflect this, so let me put this K, L, M, negative 5 and negative 9 and 5, negative 5 and 1, and negative 2 and 7. So I'm going to reflect it first over the y-axis, so we're going to go from here, it's going to go here, and then we're going to reflect it over the axis, so it's going to jump from here, I'm going to go this way. So my triangle ends up here. Okay, so it's a double reflection. So let's do our first reflection. So first reflection, we're going to call it K prime. K prime. K prime. L prime. M prime. So K is going to be 9, negative 9 and 5 is also going to be 9 and 5 now. It's going to be 9 over and 5 up. Right? So same distance away from the y-axis. L is going to be 5 and 1. Right, about here. Same distance away, so it's 5 units on the other side. And L is going to be 2 and 7, so 2 over and 7 up. No, -2. I did L wrong. L wrong. L is wrong. L is -2 and 7, so around here. Did I just do everything wrong here? Well, let's try again. Okay, so let's go again. -9 and 5, which is about here, so that's K. L is -5 and 1, -5 and 1. And M is -2 and +7, so about that. So that's the triangle, sorry. So K prime is 9 and 5, 9 over, 5 up, 9 over, 5 up. That's okay. M prime is 5 over, 1 up. That makes sense now. And M prime is 2 over, 7 up. Here's my triangle on the other side. So that's your first reflection. Your second reflection is going to be K double prime, L double prime, and M double prime. So we're going to take this triangle and reflect it over this way. So let's do point K. Point K is going to be 9 and 5 again, but it's going to be 9 and -5 because it's going to be 9 over this way to the right and 5 down, 5 down. So here's my K double prime. L is going to be 5, -1. 5 over, -1 right here. L double prime. Right, same distance away from the x-axis. And M is going to be 2, -7, 2 over and 7 down. So you can tell point M is the same distance away from the x-axis. And here's my final triangle. Okay, so I need to see this, this, and this. Okay. Okay, so here we have O, which is -5 and -1. P is -9 and -5. And Q is -1, -7, -1, -7. So here's my triangle, OPQ. When we reflect this over the x-axis, so here's my x-axis, we're going to go from here to here first, and then we're going to reflect it over the y-axis. Here's your y-axis up and down, and we're going to end up here. So this is our final location. Okay, so this triangle is going to be reflected this way, and then to the right. So up and then to the right. So the original points is O, P, Q. O is -5, -1. And I think it helps if you write all the points up. Okay. When you reflect over the x and y axis, the actual number stays the same, but they change sign according to whatever quadrant they're going to land in. So O prime, P prime, Q prime. So O prime, P prime, and Q prime, they're going to be in quadrant 2. And in quadrant 2, the first number is negative and the second number is positive. So I can just go ahead and right now and do this. -5 and 1, -9 and 5, and Q, -1 and 7. Or I can count. O is going to be right here. O double prime. P is going to be right here. P double prime, same distance away, which is 5 up. And Q is going to be 1 over and 7 up, so right here. Here's Q double prime. So here's my first reflection. Same triangle on that side, okay? O double prime, P double prime, Q double prime. And they're all gonna land in quadrant 1. And in quadrant 1, the first number is positive and the second number is positive. So O is gonna be 5 and 1, P is gonna be 9 and 5, and Q is gonna be 1 and 7. Or you can just count. So Q is 1 unit away. Here's Q double prime. P is 9 units away from the y-axis, so it's going to be right here. actually, double prime. I don't know. This should have been one single prime. This should have been single prime. So Q double prime. This is P double prime. And Q is 7 units. Wait. Q, P, and O. Why is O over here? Negative 5 and 1. So, and O should be 5 and 1. So right here. O double prime. So here's my reflection. Okay. So again, I think this is the easier way. Okay. You knowing what each quadrant, what the characteristics of each quadrant is, and knowing that when we reflect, the signs change according to where they land, what quadrant they land, but the number stays the same. Or again, you can count the number of squares that it's away from the axis, depending on where you're reflecting it. So this one gives everybody a headache. X equals 1. Let's find x equals 1. X equals 1, first of all, here is 0, 0, and x-axis is your horizontal line, and x equals 1 is right here. I'll make a little tick right here. Now, I'm going to extend that line. Oh, gee, how am I going to extend the line? So I'm going to create a line. Okay, so that's going to be my sort of x equals 1 line. Make it just a little straighter. That's x equals 2, so let me shift it over right there. Okay, so I'm going to reflect over x equals 1. And 5 and 3 is over here, 5 and 3. This one's going to be a little bit hard. That's R. S is 10 and 0, which is right here. And T, 7, negative 5. 7 over negative 5 is over here. And S and U, sorry, is 3, negative 3. 3, negative 3 is right here. Okay. This one's a little bit hard because so U is, it's going to be half a square plus another half a square. So 1, U is going to be right here. U prime. And let's start with U. Okay, so U is on 3, negative 3. U prime, okay, U prime is on 1 over and negative 3 down. U, let's do T. T is 7, negative 5. T prime, where's T on the other side of this dark black line here, which is x equals 1. So it's, let's see, 1 full box, another full box, and half a box here. So the total of 3 boxes, right? So half, 1.5, 2.5, 2.5 plus half is 3. So I'm going to count 3 boxes. Half, 1.5, 2, and it's going to be right here. Here's T prime. T prime is going to be on, let's see, negative 5 over. And five down. No, T is negative 5. And 5 down. Okay. S is 10 and 0. Right? But how far is S away from this x equals 1? It's, we're going to count by 2. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I got to count 9 boxes. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It's going to be negative 8 and 0. And finally, point R. Point R is on 5 and 3. But a reflection over x equals 1, it's, let's see, half a box, 1.5, plus half a box, so that's 2. Half a box, 1.5, so it's going to be right here. And here's our prime, which is negative 3 and 3 up. This one's a little bit more difficult because of the type of coordinate plane I gave you. I shouldn't have given you this one. Okay, but again, if you do the reflection here, S should be negative 8 and 0. I don't know why I put S. Negative 8 and 0. So here is, okay. S prime. Okay, so this is totally, I don't know what this is. Oh, I see. Sorry, this is S. Better. Okay, much better. Get rid of that line. Sherry's gym. Gym is located on -5 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5 and -3. 1, 2, 3. This is Sherry house. Her house is the gym's location over the x-axis. X-axis is over here, so this is the x-axis, right? This is right. So gym's location over the S. So on the other side of Fifth Avenue, over the x-axis, so be 1, 2, 3. Notice that it's 3 units away from Fifth Avenue. Her gym, I call her G for gym. And her house, Sherry's house, or H for house, is also 3 units away from Fifth Avenue or the x-axis, but just on the other side. So the location of her home is going to be -5 over, but it's going to be on the other side of Fifth Avenue, 3 up. Amanda works on 5 and 3. Let's find Amanda. She works on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 up. This is her work. Her son's school is a reflection of her workplace over Northern Boulevard and then over 165th Street. So we got to cross Northern Boulevard on the other side. Same amount of blocks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go on the other side of Northern Boulevard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's first reflection, and then we got to cross, and then over 165th Street. So we got to cross 165th Street. So we got to cross on the other side of the same number of blocks away. So it's 1, 2, 3. We're gonna cross 165th Street, and we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. And this is her son's school. Okay, first we got cross Northern Boulevard, and then from Northern Boulevard we cross 165th Street. And so her school's location is going to be -5, -3. Okay. Midway Theater, which is in Forest Hills, located on -3 and -1. -3 is 3 to the left, -1. So here's a theater. T for theater. The supermarket is a reflection over Queens Boulevard. So we're going to cross Queens Boulevard and then over Continental. So Queens Boulevard is the up and down, the y-axis. So I'm going to cross Queens Boulevard. 1, 2, 3. Here's Queens Boulevard. Crosses, same number of blocks. 1, 2, 3. So there's my first reflection. And then after crossing Queens Boulevard, it tells me to cross 71 Continental. And now across 71 Continental, it's 1 block. So as soon as I cross 71 Continental, the first block. So this is the supermarket. Right? So if they were to give you directions, they would tell you to, from the theater, cross Queens Boulevard, same number of blocks on the other side, and then cross Continental Avenue, same number of blocks on the other side. So you end up here. So the location is 3 over and 1 up. So here's the supermarket. Okay, so there it is, 3 over, 1 up. Reflect triangles ABC width, not width, but width. Oh my God. So A is 3 over 1, 3, 1. So this one I think it's much easier. B is 3, 4, 3, 4. C is 5, 3, 5 and 3. So here is your triangle ABC. And we're going to reflector over x equals 2. Let's find x equals 2. Here's my x-axis. This is 0. This is 1. This is 2. So this is 2 right here. Let me make a little tick. Let me stretch that line. So if x equals 2, so it's going to be, yes, I can make that as straight as I can. So that's x equals 2. So that's our mirror. So every point is going to be on the other side of this blue line, equally distant. So point A is 1 unit away, so it's going to be here, A prime. Point B is also 1 unit away, it's on the other side of that blue line, B prime. And C is 1, 2, 3 points away from the blue line, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 points. So where is plotted and identified the new coordinates? So A prime, B prime, and C prime. Notice that the numbers are definitely going to be different here because we're not reflecting over the x and the y-axis, okay? So your coordinates are not going to be the same. So the A prime is going to be, let's see, from the origin, you go 1 over, 1 up, so it's 1 and 1. B prime is also going to be 1 over, but 1, 2, 3, 4 up. C prime is going to be 1 to the left, so that makes it -1. And how many up? 1, 2, 3, 3 up. Okay, so if you can tell, I'll write actually, this is point A, this is point B, this is point C. Notice that the numbers definitely change. Not only do they change, but they're not the same, okay? Not the same as if when we reflect over the x or y axis, okay? So be careful when you're reflecting over a line, x equals 1, 2, or 3, or whatever it is, the numbers definitely change. 17, reflect over y equals -2. Let's find y equals -2. So here's my y-axis, right? The vertical line up and down. And y equals negative, well, if this is 0, y equals -2 is right here. I'm going to make a little tick. This is y equals -2. Let me stretch that line to the left and to the right. So this is y. And I'll write it for you. Y equals -2. So first you find y equals -2, stretch that line. So we're going to reflect over this line. So let's find the point D. Point D is -4 and 1, so from the origin, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 up. And then point E is -3, 1, 2, 3, and 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one is a line, not a triangle or a quadrant, it's just a line. A line requires 2 points, and that's what I have. I'm going to reflect this over this on this side. And we did that in class with one of you guys. So D is 1, 2, 3 units away from this blue line. On the other side should be 1, 2, 3. So point D is going to be here, D prime. Point E should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units from this blue line. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So reflected, it's going to be that way. Okay, so we're not reflecting over the y, we're reflecting over this blue line, which is y equals -2. Okay, I am going to pause this video for a little bit. Okay, resuming. So for this one, actually, can I go back? Yes, I can go back. We needed a little bit more room down here, right, to extend that A part to find the actual coordinates. Okay, so moving on, 18, not too many more left. This is a long video, like I said before. Construct a rectangle so that each of this, make rectangle, so each of the vertices lie in a different quadrant. Its perimeter is 16. So perimeter is the distance around the rectangle, right? Sorry, the distance around the shape. So in this case, it's a rectangle. So we want to construct a rectangle. Here's a rectangle. So whether you shape it, you draw it like that, or you can draw it like this, it doesn't matter, right? As long as it's a rectangle. And you want to make sure it's 16. 16 meaning that if you add all the sides, it should add 16. So maybe you want to figure out that first and then plot it. So here's an example. So let's see. And if I make this 5, and I make this 5, and I make this 3, and I make this 3, the perimeter is going to be 16, right? So again, here I can make this 3 and 3 if I want to use this shape. If I add all the sides, 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3 again, I will get 16. So here is a rectangle, whether you draw it horizontally or vertically. I just need to make sure that each vertex here, this corner, and this corner lies on a different quadrant. So let's pick this. I'm just going to randomly pick. So this has to be 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. Here's my second. Meaning to go 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and 5 down. So here's my rectangle, and I'm going to call it RSTU. All right, just pick 4 random letters. And here's my rectangle, and you'll notice that the perimeter, let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it is 16 units around, and you just gotta tell me where R is, where S is, where T is, and where U is. Just give me the locations of each one, and I'm not gonna do that because you can do that by yourself. Okay. 19, find the distance. Okay, we did this, but with this it's a little bit easier because here's a coordinate plane, the quadrant each, unless stated in this case, every square is 1 unit. So A is negative 5 and 4, negative 5 and 4, negative 5 and negative 4, so here's A. B is negative 5 and 5, which is negative 5, it's all the way up here. You're welcome to count, but if it's asking you to use absolute value, please make sure. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the distance is 9 units. I'm going to multiply that by 2.25. Right, I'm going to get a certain number. So, but just to show you its absolute value, here's A, negative 5 and 4. Is this being recorded? Yeah, it is. B is negative 5 and 5, so they're both on this, right, negative 5, so they're both here on this, so they share the negative 5 in common. They're both on the x-coordinate, negative 5, but one is 4 units up, 4 units down, the other one is 5 units down from the x-axis, so the absolute value of negative 4 here is 4. But this distance right here is 4. The absolute value of 5 is 5, so this distance right here is 5. So to find out the distance between A and B, I would add those two numbers. They're in different quadrants, and I get 9 units. And then you multiply 9 times 2.5, and I have no idea what that is. So we just take a second, multiply 9 times 2.25, and that's going to give you 20.25. And please make sure you write the units. Miles. Find the distance between M, negative 3 and 0, which is here, and N, which is negative 3 and 4, which is up here. This one is pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know the unit is 4 times 3/4. Right, but I'm going to use absolute value just to show you. Negative 3 and 4, so they both are on the x-coordinate negative 3, so they're both here on this line, but one is on the line, the x-axis, one's 4 units above. So they're both on negative 3 on the x line, on the x-axis, but so we take the absolute value of the other two. Absolute value of 0 is 0, absolute value of 4 is 4. We can add these two, and that gives me a 4. So on the map, on the coordinate plane, is 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we multiply 4 times 3/4, and we can put this over 1. Multiply 4 times 3, which is 12. At the bottom, 1 times 4 is 4. And 12 over 4 is the same thing as 3, or in this case, 3 miles. 21. 4, negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 3. So here's point A. Point B is negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All the way up here. So what does it tell you? We're going to go up by going north. So we're going to go north, and let's say, so let me shade this way. So we're going to go north. North. And then we're going to make a left turn and go this way. So that's our route. So if you want, you can make a little point. This point where you make that left turn is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that point right there, and I don't know, I just started calling point Q. It's 4, 5. So we can do this in 2 parts. We can find the distance between A and Q first. And then I'm going to find the distance between Q and B. So we're going to have 2 parts to this if you're doing absolute value. Point A is 4, negative 3. Point Q is 4 and 5. Right? So we take the absolute value of negative 3. which is 3. Take the absolute value of 5, which is 5. There are different quadrants. Point A is in quadrant 4. Point Q is in quadrant 1. So we add these two. 3 plus 5 is 8. So this whole distance here, it's 8. And you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8. From Q to B, Q is 4, 5. B is, what's B? Negative 4 and 5. Right? So they're both 5 units up, but one is 5 to the left and the other one's 5 to the right. And then if you take the absolute value, that's 5, and the absolute value of 5 is also 5, and 5 plus 5 is 10. So this whole section over here is 10 units. So to find the distance between A and B, well, it's 8 this way and 10 that way. So 8 plus 10, it's 18 units, or in this case, 18 blocks. So F is negative 5 and 1, negative 5 and 1. G is 4 and 3, 4, really? 4, negative 3, so here's G. So I'm going to trace that route. You're going to go this way, and then you're going to make a right turn and go south, right? So again, we can find out what that point is. It'll come in handy. That point is 4 over and 1 up, 4 and 1. So you can find the distance between F and Q first, and Q to G. Okay, so F to Q. F is negative 5 and 1. Q is 4 and 1. So they're both one level up, right? And then one is this much distance, 5 to the left, and the other one's 4 to the right. So we're going to take the absolute value of negative 5. So this stretch right here is 5. Absolute value of 4, which means that this stretch from here to here is 4. So this total is 9 units. So from F to Q, it's 9, right? Now we got to find Q to G. Q to G, Q is 4 and 1 again. G is 4, negative 3. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Absolute value of negative 3 is 3. We add those up and we get 4. So this distance right here is 4. And you can double check by counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want the total distance. So this whole distance right here is 9, right? From F to Q is 9. And then from Q to G is 4. So we add 9 and 4. And the total distance is 13 blocks. 23, RSTU, we go, negative 4 and 3. So we're going to reflect this over the x-axis. So where's R? Negative 4 and negative 3, negative 4, negative 3. S is negative 5 and 2, positive 2. T is 3 and 3. And U is 1, negative 3. So here's our 1, negative 3. Here's a quadrilateral. Oh, what am I doing? RSTU. So if I connect, it's going to look like this. Right, so we're going to reflect this over the x-axis. So each point here is going to jump the x-axis. It's going to jump this line right here. So T is going to go from up to down. U is going to go up. S is going to go down, and R is going to go up. So they're going to be, every point, no matter where you are, is going to cross over the x-axis. It's going to jump over the x-axis. So change colors. T, and I'll do this by counting this time around. T is going to be 3. So this is T prime right here. I'll come down. U is going to go up, so it's 3 units. Here's going to be my U prime. S comes down, so it's going to be here. Sorry, not there. S is 2 units away from the x-axis, so S prime is going to be here. And R prime is going to be here. And if I connect the dots, it's the same quadrilateral, but reversed or reflected over the x-axis. Each point crossed over to the other side of the x-axis. Okay? I'm not labeling the points because you can do that yourself. And the last question. Reflect over the x-axis again. 5 and negative 4 is here. Here's point A. Point B is negative 4, negative 3. Point C is negative 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my triangle ABC. Reflect this, change colors over the x-axis, and again, here's my x-axis. So A is going to go from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. A is going to be on the other side of the x-axis, same units away, so it's A prime. B prime is going to be from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2, 1, 2, 3 units, so it's going to be also 3 units away from the x-axis. There's it. And C is going to come down, right, from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be C prime. So again, I'll connect the dots. And the location of my triangle, you can figure it out, but that's how you would reflect. And that's that. That was one long video.